We've all been sold a bill of goods, one that states that the airbrush will make you a faster and far superior miniature painter, so much so, in fact, that it's often considered a cheat. But the lie detector has determined that is a lie. Ever since I started miniature painting, I felt the pressure to use and master the airbrush. We're told it's faster and creates smooth blends and amazing color transitions in next to no time, and overall it's just going to make you a much better miniature painter. And over the last 8 years, I've used them a lot. But over the last 2 years or so, as I've grown the most I've ever grown as a miniature painter, I've basically stopped. So we're going to talk about why. My plan today is to go over the main selling points of the airbrush, the things they claim that it's great at, and if I think it's bogus, I'm going to tell you why and what I do instead. Of course, this is all based on my own personal opinion and years of experience, but there are some great things that an airbrush can do, so I'll be sure to mention those as well. The first of which is priming. Look, we need to do this step on every single model we paint, and an airbrush is both very efficient and cost-effective in the long term compared to rattle cans. And we're going to get into the whole problem of cost with airbrushing in a little bit, but do note that a rattle can will actually do the job just as well and oftentimes much faster, especially if you're doing an entire army or a whole batch of priming on your models. Not to mention that there's colored primers out there these days that allow you to prime and get the base coat done in one step. I actually don't even use regular acrylic primer anymore. Too many times this stuff has clogged up my airbrush. No matter which brand, this stuff is basically liquid plastic, and at a certain point in that bottle, it is going to cause havoc on your airbrush. I prefer lacquer-based primer. This Mr. Hobby stuff is my go-to, and I have not gone back since I started using it. Do note that because that primer is lacquer-based, we do have to use some stronger chemicals both to thin it as well as to clean our airbrush. And then, of course, there is the mythical white zenithl from above with a white ink or a white paint to make the model all pretty and easy to look at. But quite frankly, unless you're going over this model with transparent paints afterward, it doesn't matter. You are just going to cover up this white zenithl on your first coat of base paints anyway. And even if you are going to do that, let's say you're doing a slap chop on your model, you're better off using a dry brush, because you know what a dry brush can do that an airbrush can't? It can pick up the raised edges in details, not just create a fuzzy haze of white over the entire model. So if you're not going to use a white zenithl as a guideline of where to put your highlights and shadows and immediately put those on right after this step, you've literally just wasted time for no reason. All right, on to base coating, which really is a big selling point for airbrushes. And quite frankly, if you're painting large models or models that are almost entirely one color, like a Space Marine, it is great for that. And in those situations, it's great. No argument there. But what about the vast majority of models that aren't 90% one color? And because the entire model is now blue, you'll need to panel line all of those other details and recesses so you actually have definition of those details on your model. I really like to start with wild underpainting to create a depth of color other than black that I can build off of. You can certainly use an airbrush for this underpainting step too, which is just fine. But then I'd have to clean out the airbrush between each color. I prefer a big fat brush so I can just slap it on and move on with my life to the layering step of each separate area of the model. And if I'm slapping it on with a brush, I can use whatever paint under the sun I want to use, like a heavy body paint, like this stuff by Mindwork Games. This means I get to do some real-time blending over the model, and with that wet paint I get to mix all sorts of colors that just one airbrush step on top of another airbrush step wouldn't create. Honestly, this step you can't screw up with a big fat brush, and I've learned so much about color mixing, transitions, and what colors work well together by doing this instead of airbrushing. Oh yeah, before I forget, the models that you're seeing me work on today are by a brand new game that is about to come out on GameFound called Paradise. This is brought to us by Mindwork Games, and if you're anything like me, you know of this company because they make amazing quality, higher scale sculptures, and they are so amazing and great to paint. And these ones, even though they're at a smaller 32mm scale, are equally as impressive in their detail and crispness. So if you're a fan of amazing models and you like the idea of a fast-paced, nasty, post-apocalyptic skirmish game, then check out the link down to Paradise in the video's description. Make sure you follow that so you can get a free model when it comes out. Now, one of the biggest skills that we can put time into that'll help bring our miniatures to life and make us really improve as miniature painters is to better understand volumes and shapes and how color and light work with them. And yes, the airbrush can kind of sidestep this for you. You don't actually have to learn, you just spray from an angle and it'll kind of do it on its own. And it's particularly useful in large things like big vehicles and big models, but it's terrible for the average 32mm model. Spraying your model from above with a lighter blue can only give you a sloppy interpretation of how light works over shapes. And yes, experts with an airbrush can be much better at that. That goes without saying. But here's the problem. You aren't creating drama and big jumps without blowing out the entire figure with this lighter color, covering a majority of the work you've already done thus far. And even more importantly, you aren't actually learning how light interacts with different shapes. And this has been my biggest takeaway over the last 2 years of hanging up the airbrush and leaning on the paintbrush, and that is gathering a much better understanding of shape and light and being able to recreate it in miniature form. Through this repetition, I've gotten better at blending. My brush control is so much more precise, and I've also gotten much faster. Now, I know what you're saying. There are amazing miniature painters out there that can create super realistic highlights and shapes with an airbrush, but it's because of a little secret. And I'm gonna tell you what that is right now. Here's what they're doing. They are using a brush with a bright color to define all the volumes directly over their base color. Again, they need to understand what to paint based on the direction of their light and the shapes of the surface. Only when this is sketched in do they come back in with an airbrush to blend this highlight with the translucent paint or ink through the airbrush. This is how that sexy shot that you always see and makes you say, wow, is accomplished. But what really made this technique work was the work done with the brush first. And you could achieve a very similar result with just a brush and a glaze or a wash over the model. So the airbrush is valuable, but it's by no means the only way to accomplish this kind of approach. The other major failure an airbrush has as a highlighting tool is its inability to do any crisp edging or fine detail work. And even if you're speed painting a ton of models, you're better off spending time defining a few edges and details than you are building up a whole lot of generic fuzzy highlights with an airbrush. Now, you're probably thinking that this sounds an awful lot like I'm just telling you my personal preference and approach to miniature painting. And you'd be right. That's exactly what I'm doing. But what I'm not trying to do is to tell anybody that their personal approach or opinions about miniature painting are wrong. I'm not. I just know that myself and many, many others in this hobby feel the need and pressure to get an airbrush and get good with it. And that if we would get good with it, that would be a major stepping stone for us becoming better miniature painters. But in my experience, it's been the exact opposite. The first 5 or 6 years I was into miniature painting, I really tried to get good and spent a lot of time with an airbrush. And over the last 2 years, where I basically used it as little as possible, I've grown so much more, and I feel like I've made many more strides to becoming a better miniature painter and faster miniature painter than I did in those first 6. And I honestly think a big part of that was instead of just blasting my way through every model, I learned how to paint with a brush. And with that, it helped me understand what this thing can do really well instead of just trying to use it for every possible situation. Today's video is brought to us by Pair Eyewear, the makers of the glasses that you've seen me in these videos for almost a year now. And maybe you think you've seen me in a variety of glasses in these videos, but you haven't. Why? Because these can morph into any glasses you want because of their top frames. So no matter what you're feeling, maybe a little spooky, classy, or even a little bit wild, you can have a whole new look right on the fly. I'm particularly a big fan of their sun tops because if you've ever had prescription sunglasses before, you realize how expensive they can be, but not anymore. Also, these are much more comfortable than the average prescription sunglasses I ended up buying before. The website is super easy to navigate, and you can even virtually try on frames to see what looks best for your face shape and determine which of their hundreds of top frame styles best fit your style. You know, I've purchased my glasses from more places than I could count over the years, and I always felt like I either had to pick between quality or cost. And with Pair, I never have to do that again, which is why I'm sticking with them. They're constantly coming up with wild new top frame styles. I like checking back in to see what goodies they have. And if you've never tried Pair before, there is no time like the present, because for new customers, we've got a 15% off discount. Just use my Ninja link down in the video description. And a big thank you to Pair for sponsoring today's video. So yeah, the whole theme here today is the more time you spend with the paintbrush in your hand, the better. That's been my experience anyway, because every hour of practice you get with a brush will grow your ability on any model, any detail, and any step. All right, let's talk about speed, because that's the biggest thing with an airbrush, right? It's super duper fast. You can paint anything you want in next to no time at all. Well, kind of. Not really, but some things, yes. Like big things. Like a big tank, or like all dudes that are one color? Yes, I will not deny that. But for just about every other situation, I do not believe that this thing is actually faster. And I'll put an asterisk on there and I say to the same level of quality, it is not faster. Because you can spray paint anything in 2 colors super fast, but that doesn't mean it looks good. And why is this? Well, because most models take a lot of different colors. And even if it's just the main portion of the model that you're painting with an airbrush, every time you change colors, you've got to clean out the airbrush entirely, make sure you don't have any clogs or dried paint in there. You've got to mix a new color, and you've got to repeat those steps until you've reached your desired look. And all the while, praying you do not make any mistakes, because you cannot simply just fix a mistake that's made with an airbrush. You see, the smooth, soft layers of an airbrush can't be cleaned up with a regular brush because it'll look completely different. And if you've ever tried to clean up any mistake over airbrush work with more airbrush work, you really are just getting that snowball going downhill into crap town. And if you speed through the changing of colors, hell, even if you're meticulous, you're gonna clog your airbrush at some point, or it's gonna spit and sputter all over the place and cover your model in speckles, or any other number of issues will certainly arise when you least want them to. Now, just like any other tool, you will quickly learn how to diagnose, totally disassemble, and fix the issue. But the last thing I want to do when I really want to get a paint job complete is to spend an hour or more taking apart, cleaning, and putting this back together, and hoping I don't lose any parts or screw it up even worse. So I've done that more than once. What an airbrush is good at being fast with is batch painting, specifically models that are largely one color, and you can just do a single airbrush highlight from above. So you've done a lot of that work with just a few steps. But this will only work for those kinds of models. If you ever wanted to paint multiple sections with an airbrush, you are very likely to overspray, create issues that you're gonna have to spend more time cleaning up later, or wasting even more time by having to mask off certain sections of the model so you can keep the airbrush going. Again, if you're talking a big model or you're talking something that's a larger scale, this is not that big of a deal because you've got more room to work with to mask things off and get that airbrush in there for more precision. But for the average 32 millimeter model, you just don't have that much leeway to get in there for a second color. All right, let's talk about a few other things we just can't ignore. The first of which is the amount of space all this stuff takes up. I keep my airbrush set up in a separate area from my usual painting area just because that paint through an airbrush will get everywhere on every surface, whether you like it or not. And the last thing I need is my computer monitors and keyboard covered in spray paint. Ideally, you want some kind of ventilation. That's why I have a spray booth, and it does a pretty good job of containing everything. And that, along with my own big air purifier that sits right beside it, I keep my air as clean as I possibly can. But that just means I've got to have a whole separate area that I spray paint at compared to my usual painting area. And then there's the whole other cupboard right beside it that's filled with all sorts of stuff. The cleaning stuff, the primers, the varnishes, the thinning tools, the pipe cleaners to clean everything out, the paper towels, all sorts of stuff that I've got to have if I want to airbrush and not suck at it too much. Now, if you don't have a dedicated space and you don't plan on doing a ton of airbrushing, or heck, you just want to go outside and airbrush when the weather's nice, you can use these little kits that you can get on Amazon for like 60 or 70 bucks. They got a little compressor and an airbrush. They work just great for doing priming and base coating and maybe even some zenithl stuff. but you definitely get what you pay for. And the quality of the cheap airbrushes that you can get on Amazon and eBay pale in comparison to something like an Iwata or a Harder and Steinbeck. Now you want to make sure you get some practice with a cheap airbrush first, so in case you wreck it or something, you haven't wrecked your $200 expensive airbrush. But these certainly are worth the money long term because these will last for your entire life. And since I just mentioned a dollar amount, now is a good time to talk about cost. Not only do these things take up a lot of space, but a decent starter setup for everything you need to airbrush your models is going to cost you at least a couple $100. If you want nicer quality stuff, like a nicer quality compressor, a nicer quality airbrush itself, all the other stuff that you're going to need, that can cost you $300 to $500 just to get going. And that's a huge investment on something you're not even sure how much you're going to use yet. Which is why I go back to recommending these cheap all-in-one things, just to kind of get yourself to understand how much you like an airbrush, how much you want to dig down that rabbit hole before you invest too much money. And I consider the cost investment for an airbrush to be a legitimate thing. Look, you need paints to paint a model. You need models to paint a model. You need paint brushes and some other things. You don't actually need an airbrush to paint your models. So in the grand scheme of things that are nice to have and that you need to have, it's not required by any means. So I really don't want people to be stressed out feeling like they need to buy this if they're getting into miniature painting or want to get better at miniature painting. The last area I want to bring up is one that I don't feel like it's talked about enough. It's something that Airbrush actually does really well and I want to acknowledge, and that's adding quick color depth and interest by using transparent paints. Whether it's inks, contrast paints, or even thinned down regular miniature paint, this is a quick way to add interesting color and smooth transitions to a general area of your model. A bounce light, a source of OSL, heck, even just adding some random transparent colors to the shadows can really add a lot to your model in little time. But this is also something you can do with just a regular paintbrush, and you'll have more control over it when you do. I just love to mix whatever colors are already on my palette. I thin them down to a glaze consistency, and I push them into interesting places on the model. And I can do this step much more organically, swapping back and forth from layering to glazing in interesting colors, then moving to a different part of the model and painting something there, then painting whatever else sparks me that I'm looking at next. And I think that's the good final point I want to make on the subject of airbrushes. To me, painting in a flow state and really getting entrenched in a project and just having fun painting gets chopped up so much with an airbrush. Because when you're in the zone, you want to ride that wave and enjoy the process. I don't want to clean the airbrush after I use it for 10 seconds on one small area. That breaks me out of that flow. The airbrush is a tool. Hell, it's a great tool. It's just not a all-in-one solution to every situation in miniature painting tool that I was led to believe when I got into this hobby. Am I glad I own one? Absolutely. But when I quit stressing over using it all the time to justify the cost and space that it takes up in my painting area, the more I enjoyed painting and I saw improvements in my models. My whole hope for this video was that you could see how my experience with this very popular tool led to a somewhat unpopular opinion. And that doesn't mean if you have a different opinion that you're wrong or I'm wrong. In fact, it kind of exemplifies what's so amazing about this hobby. There are countless paths that all lead to your personal painting destination. Just do me a favor and pay attention to what resonates best for you in your painting and follow that. Thanks for hanging out today. I appreciate all of you subscribing to the channel. That way you don't miss any other future videos. I've got a lot of fun stuff planned for the rest of the summer. And if you wanted to go above and beyond in your support to the channel besides subscribing, you could check out my link down to the Ninja on Patreon in the video description below and see the fun rewards you get for joining us there, like access to my amazing Discord community and weekly behind the scenes videos. You can also check out the affiliate links below to the gear that I talk about and that I use on the regular in my own miniature painting, and I get a small kickback from that, so thanks for those of you that support me that way. Now, I will be back before you know it with another new video. Just make sure between now and then, whether you're using an airbrush or not, to find time in your day to slay the gray.